I hope very much that Monterey County will continue the momentum that makes it clear that fracking is not safe, not what we need for our kids.
Producing our own local energy under the toughest environmental regulations in the world gives us energy independence, a stronger economy, and more jobs.
The of oil production off the Central Coast.
Welcome back to Wake Up.
A record drought in the American
American
states of California.
Yes, water and oil comes in, virtually separate, and then that water goes into huge walnut shell filters so that we can clean it to go to the Coelho Water District to be used for agriculture here in the valley.
If they're going to go forward with such a significant change to how the county gets its revenue, that there need to be much more analysis of that.
A vote no advertisement featuring 4 mayors from Monterey County claim the ballot initiative will cause devastating cutback.
La cual puede causar un corte desgastante para nuestra seguridad pública. El condado de Monterrey no puede soportar la oposición.
Methods that they've used for decades, and that's going to be, I think.
So smart, you had to be so clever. You compared it to art. Scientific endeavor is the greatest invention since the dawn of machine. It's the shit that makes your neighbor's pasture a little more green. Put it in your food, said it will alter your mood. Feed it to your kids, yeah, it's good for them too. I'm sure it's the God's honest truth. I heard it on the evening news. Built a monster that could destroy this whole city. Oh, how you built him for helping. What comes next don't look so pretty. It's the end of us all via viral invasion. And this may be the collapse of the modern civilization. And what's worse, it's got your name on it.
Yes, Auntie! Yes, Auntie! Yes, Auntie! Yes, Auntie! Yes, Auntie!
If we want to protect this earth for the sanctity of future generations, we need to stop our dependency on oil. We need to stop our addiction to drilling into this earth and destroying it. We need to find alternatives. We need to rely on solar energy. The grass that we're standing on right now has been using the power of the sun for trillions of years. And humans have finally found that technology to do just the same thing. And big oil companies like Chevron, ExxonMobil, they're spending millions of dollars to suppress that energy, to make sure that our voices that don't get heard, make sure that we don't use the sun and the wind and the ocean for power and ourselves for power. We have the power to change the world.
So I first got involved with the fight in fracking 3 years ago. I'm from Hollister. Everything happened. Oil companies came in, thought they can run stuff. They wanted to put 1,000 new wells next to our newest national park, the Pinnacles National Park, which we share here in Monterey. So we thought our regulators, our county officials would protect us. They failed us. So we took the power into our own hands. We didn't take it lying down. We did the same thing. We qualified an initiative, and through direct democracy, we fought back. And despite all the record spending, they spent $2 million, outspent us 15-1 out there. Despite all that, we still beat them. And we didn't just beat them by a little, we beat them by a lot.
So Monterey County is unfortunately separated by this invisible line that we call the lettuce curtain. It separates some of the minority communities like Salinas and Chular from some of the more privileged communities like Monterey, Pacific Grove, and Carmel. And unfortunately, those are the marginalized communities that are going to feel this affects the most. They are the ones that are going to be drinking this water primarily. And so not only are they feeling the burn of all the pesticides that are used in the farming fields, because the homes and schools are about 5 feet away from the fields right now. Whether they're spraying, whether they're churning up the soil, whether they're seeding, that's being directly affected by those toxins. And there have been miscarriages, and we had a couple people speak at the Board of Supervisors meeting who have had physical effects directly because of that. And so those are the communities that are going to have this additional wastewater dumped on them. What they're doing right now is in direct violation of the Clean Drinking Water Act. So that is something that we are dealing with as well. This is a political issue when it comes to the fact that creating a petition, getting it signed, and getting it on the ballot is the only way for individuals within a community to get their voices heard on a political view. And you know, I'm even guilty of it. You see the guys collecting signatures at the grocery store, and you legitimately try to find a way around where you don't have to get stopped by them. But after actually having participated in that, you realize that no, this is the only way that the everyday person is able to actually have a voice in what goes on the ballot. Another issue that it's the money. Chevron, big oils, you've got a lot of these monopolies that are controlling the political system. We saw that big time here at the CSUMB campus. Even as a student here and as a club representative, I was having a hard time getting the Associated students to actually endorse. The big barrier that's happened here is the language barrier. So we're having to reprint signs in Spanish and doing our pamphlets in Spanish because although they are legal citizens and they are here and they can vote, they still haven't learned Spanish, or English, I should say. And so that is a big barrier. There are, I want to say, within the lettuce curtain and behind the lettuce curtain, it's like 90% minority or Mexican heritage, you know, that have immigrated over here. Just in the county, not the state, because that's like completely different. But as soon as you cross over that and you get into Marina and Seaside and Pacific Grove and Carmel, it's almost predominantly white and higher educated. Even the park systems are better and have been spent more on them. So it is an ongoing struggle.
You can look just how the wealth disparity here in this area. I was out at a music festival this summer in Kashawa, and it was so dry out there. It was called the Big Surreal Music Festival. It was amazing. And I was out there just on this hill. There's this stage set up overlooking Carmel Valley. My friend's band Valley Soul was playing. It was amazing to see Valley Soul play overlooking Carmel Valley. But Kashawa was so dry, Carmel was so rich, it had all the water, all the trees were growing out there. But in the poorer areas in this area, like, you could see the California drought right there.
Well, it'll be the same situation as like the Dust Bowl. Mismanagement of resources displace an entire generation.
There is a paradigm shift that's happening. There's a momentum around becoming wise stewards of the earth and accounting for the regenerative systems of the planet that bring us life, that we depend on for life and existence. And the wisdom that indigenous people can offer, in part what I've learned is that we have to expand our sense of belonging to a place and our sense of community. When our sense of community includes a locality, is just this idea of extending personhood to the rest of the natural world. So it's recognizing that reality exists on a biocontinuum, a biocultural continuum, not a culture versus nature. That's a false separation. It's like an industrial paradigm way of looking at reality. But an indigenous relational paradigm recognizes that that's one community, and when we do that, it changes how we use language around those relationships. So extending personhood to, for example, California condor, you know, we stop objectifying nature. We stop saying the condor, we start saying condor. And that's extending personhood, and that extends belonging, the relational bond that exists of that community. And so I think that the more we tune into that, the more we can change our language, which is a language of commerce. English is a language of commerce, to a relational language. It becomes condor is an important member of our community. And that emphasis is critical, even though it's subtle. And I think that is the shift that's happening as we identify as water protectors. As we identify that water is life, we understand that our dependency on the land is permanent. Well, my own personal narrative is that I'm a father now. I have a 2-year-old at home, and his name is Elias River, and he's named after the land, the Big Sur River, where he was born. And I want him to be able to live here in the future and have water to do that. He can live here with water. He can't live here without it, but he can live here without oil.
Well, I think I stand for emboldening other young people to stand up for what they believe is right, especially when it comes to the electoral process and being involved in a measure like Measure Z getting on the ballot, because we're in a region where there are a lot of people who have not yet become fully enfranchised. A lot of diversity when it comes to reasons why people cannot vote, and we have to understand that, sorry to sound cliche, that in essence we are our brother's keepers. As a person who's running for office myself, I have endorsed Measure Z because I think it's very important for people who want to achieve elected office locally to take those steps in leadership and to be principled and not to cop out and say, oh, I'm going to leave it to the voters. Well, you have to take that leadership role and let people know where you stand on issues that matter to all of us.
Okay, so another thing.
What will the next steps be? Oh, that's a fantastic question. I think the next step is we're going to make sure that they comply with the demands of Measure Z, which is to clean the water first and foremost, because right now as we speak, they are contaminating our aquifers in San Argo to the tune of 10.3 million gallons of water every day. And they are trying to tell us that that aquifer is empty and that the water that they're injecting in there is going to stay there. They have no idea if the water indeed stays there. They can't determine if it's going to be staying there. If you put anything under pressure, especially water, it's going to go other places. And that's why we're very, very adamant that we pass Measure Z so that they can clean up and protect our water. Water is life as far as a lot of us are concerned. I think we have to come together, all of us. By we, I mean the younger generation also, because you have good ideas and this is your future. I'm on my way out. I'm 66 years young. But I think that we have to come together and co-create a reality that's fair, balanced, and equal for all of us. And right now, the reality that we are now living in, it's not our reality, it's somebody else's reality, the 1%.
What no, Demetrius is voting yes on Measure Z. Yes, I am. Everyone to see this planet and how it's gonna be. Demetrius is voting yes on Measure Z. Who else? You imagine? Aaron is voting yes on Measure Z. Well, yes, I am. And